The new Guam Department of Education Superintendent Kenneth Swanson telling this group of GovGuam officials he wants all students to go in person face-to-face. Attorney General Doug Moylan calling this group together in hopes to come up with solutions for the kids.
Is intended to tap into the private and the public sector in order to help us in the AG's office deal with avoiding a lawsuit, what could occur based upon the statutory requirements. And we're even, without the statute, and I've said this before, without the statutory requirements, we also have the overall requirement as our government of Guam. The government of Guam, one of its core functions is to provide public school education to our students out there, our young individuals. So this is where we're coming from. It's not intended for us to tell you what to do. Is to develop options.
Deputy AG Fred Nishihira is no stranger when it comes to the issues in the public school system.
And it says, it is the mission of the Department of Education and the duty of all public officials of the executive branch of the government of Guam to provide an adequate public education as defined in the Organic Act. If you're out there wondering why is the AG sort of out of lane and being involved with this, it's because the statutes of Guam require that the entire executive branch work together to provide our students with an adequate education.
An education that the AG admits isn't going to come with a cheap alternative.
The funding options, obviously this is an expensive proposition, DOE in general. The school voucher options could be DOE funds, would have to be DOE funds. There may be a FEMA option because of what happened in the typhoon, that they might be able to assist with providing some of the funding required. The American Rescue Plan funding, there's probably a way that, given the broad scope of the American Rescue Plan, that could be provided. You know, these are the type of things that we're trying to come up with.
Education Board Chair and GCC President Mary Okada pitching some ideas of her own.
The Guam Community College used to be the vocational high school for the territory. So working out with George Washington, and we've done a lot of work with them already, but working with them to find out between myself and the incoming president, Dr. Enriquez, maybe we can have some conversation with GW to see how we can utilize some of our facilities and the University of Guam as indicated to get them at least launched or started.
Dr. Okada also sharing concern over the reports public health is using to inspect the campuses.
To me, it sounds like the checklist is very tedious, and once you get through, and we heard it today, once you get through a certain number of demerits, they're not even going to go back and take a look again. And then another thing, as mentioned earlier, was trying to identify other individuals in the government of Guam or with the National Guard to help and maybe train in a short time people that can serve as inspectors. We've done different kinds of training in that regard. So maybe we can, there's a word for it, maybe we can deputize, I guess, somebody to be a trained inspector for public health for the purpose of getting us through the finish line.
It's part of the relief, she suggests.
Every school that is not on Tier 1 should have a backup school that people are already planning for. People should know, if this school's not open, here's your backfall.
Education Board Vice Chair Mary Gutierrez telling the panel that it appears we have failed the students. While some consider having the children do virtual learning similar to what was done during the pandemic, AG Moylan says,
this is not an emergency. This is a self-inflicted wound of the government of Guam. We have been unable to, unlike the private schools, have the service of education given to our public school students, and because of the amorphousness that we're seeing from the AG's office on it could open, it might open, it depends upon public health, how many inspectors they have, and I have a question about that too. You just don't bring in inspectors from the National Guard and expect that they're going to be doing what a public health employee has been trained to do, qualified to do, and things like that. So again, this is not to blame anyone, but to say that we're facing an uncertainty that the government should have more options.
A few private schools also attended, hoping to help out. Father Jefferson Nicholas is the Catholic school superintendent.
The Catholic school system, we're open to help in whatever we can. But it's really dependent on from school to school, on their availability of classrooms, and even how their schools are designed, and how can they rent one classroom and I would have to talk to each principal. It's a case-by-case situation. But in general, we're open, but we just have a lot of questions on how that would be negotiated and so forth like that, or a two-tier, 2 sessions, a morning session and the afternoon session. But we're open to looking at that.
With ideas circulating, the solution remains up in the air. AG Moylan also bringing up the harsh reality the Gov Guam needs to avoid the feds coming in and taking over. Julian Hernandez, KUAM News.